A screen, little wheelbarrow. Should be able to sift this out, get some nice fluffy compost out of it. Hopefully Mr. Rooster will keep himself quiet. I told him we were filming. He doesn't listen well. Hey friends, welcome back. So Rachel has been asking me for about a week now to build her a sifter for her compost. I have some scrap hardware cloth, some spare 2x4s. Back there I got some spare 2x3s, screws, saw. Not gonna take much. Let's build one. Alright, so our plan. I have some scrap 2x3s. Those are gonna be the long pieces, which also ends up being our handles. I'm gonna use some 2x4s for the cross pieces. I want those to be 2x4s instead of 2x3s, just so they're a little taller, to try to help keep the compost in the bin and not falling out. My piece of hardware cloth that I have is about, let's see, it's about 19 inches. And in this direction I have a lot to work with, so I'm going to go with about 24 inches in this direction. That'll give me enough room to attach it to the bottoms of these pieces of wood. And it should create a pretty secure, large enough area to sift some compost. Should fit well on a wheelbarrow. I'll be able to shift it back and forth, keep all the compost going down in. All the scraps get dumped back in the compost pile to cook a little longer. So my hardware cloth that I'm using is about 19 3/4 or so wide. So I'm going to make these pieces. These are going to be the cross pieces. I'm going to make them about 16.5. That way there's enough gap on the long pieces for some overlap to attach the cloth. Right, this is leftover from, I think, from our chicken tractor from last year. Just a leftover piece. I save all the leftovers because you never know when you're going to need them for something. So this is going to be the handle, and I don't know how long I want to make it. So we're looking about like that, somewhere in there. Yes, this is 8 foot long. So I'll whack this thing in half. We'll go with 4 foot long pieces for the handles. These will be our cross members. Hardware cloth will attach to the bottom, and it'll be a screen then that you can use to filter compost. So this is my prototype, this is my plan. I don't know how well it's going to work out. I'd like for this filter box area to be a little bigger. But my cloth that I have is only so wide. I could go a little longer this direction, but then I'm losing some of my space that I want to have to be able to slide this thing back and forth. So we'll roll with it, we'll see how it turns out. So yeah, I don't know what's going on. I think my battery's dead. I don't have enough juice to bring you guys with me the rest of the way. I'll finish building this guy, and maybe tomorrow I get my battery charged up. I'll take you outside and we'll actually filter compost with it. See it work instead of just seeing me build it. So maybe that's what we'll do. Alright guys, we'll be back. Hey guys, I'm back. Sorry about the rookie mistake on the camera battery the other day. I didn't get to finish this with you guys, but I continued on. I got it mostly done, and I learned some mistakes that I made along the way. So I'm back to show you how things turned out, show you what I learned from a mistake perspective or an improvement perspective, and we'll get it finished up the rest of the way, and we'll test it out and see how it works. So here's the finished product, or at least so far. These pieces here are about 4 feet long. These are about 16 inches long. And if we flip this guy over, this is the piece of hardware cloth that we had that was scrap left behind from another project, which somewhat defined how big this thing could be. I actually would like it maybe a little bit wider, maybe a little bit more helpful, that way you could fit more compost in there. But this is what we had, and I didn't want to go buy something because if I don't have to spend money, I'm not gonna. So it fit well, but you can see on the edges I just went along with my air stapler and I threw a whole bunch of staples in there to hold this thing on pretty well, and it does hold really well. Actually, there's some pieces of compost in there because Rachel had to get on this thing and try it out. But what I've been finding is that, let's see here, see how some of these little pieces of hardware cloth kind of stick up a little bit. So when you flip this thing over and it's sitting on your wheelbarrow and you start shifting this thing back and forth, all these little pieces of hardware cloth get caught on there. And they're going to keep tearing and tearing and tearing, and eventually it's going to rip this piece of hardware cloth off, which isn't good because then I gotta get more hardware cloth and attach it, maybe scrap the whole thing, throw it in the burn pile and build something different, and I don't want to do that. What I came up with was I need some way to protect the edges of this hardware cloth, and so I found these little wood slat strips. They're about 3 feet long, maybe 45 inches or so. They're not very thick. They're, I don't know how thick that is. Yeah, about 1/4 inch or so. Now what I figured is if I attach them here, they'll act as good runners to run along the wheelbarrow and protect that hardware cloth underneath so it doesn't get tore up. I don't remember which ones were the ones I cut. And what I'll do is I'll attach these on with some screws. So not only will it help to protect the hardware cloth, it'll also help hold it in place and make this stronger. So that's what I'm going to do. I'll get some screws thrown in this, and then we'll take this out to the chicken bin, or the chicken coop, and we'll sift some compost and I'll show you how it turns out. I'm hoping these screws, I might need to pre-drill all these things. Yep. You can already hear it split. So I hope I didn't mess up the first half of the second half of this video. We do have a new camera that we've been using, and I think I had it zoomed in as far as it could go instead of, my intention was to have it zoomed out as far as it could go, nice wide angle so you guys could see everything that was going on, but my apologies if that part turned out wrong. But at this point, we've been so busy and so far behind on our video production. At this point, done is going to be better than perfect, so we'll roll with it. You gotta do that. You don't ever just grab one screw, you always grab two, and you hold the second one in your mouth. I like having having a second hand. Or a third hand. Done. That should keep... Oh, a piece of hardware cloth broke off. That should keep this hardware cloth way more secure. It won't rub. These little flat strips will help protect things as it rubs back and forth on the wheelbarrow and protect it from getting all torn up. So thanks for coming along with me. I know it was a little jumpy around, and my battery died yesterday when I started this project. But I wanted to come back, I wanted to finish it, and before we go, I'll take it out to the chicken coop and we'll shovel up some compost. They've been working on compost all winter for us. Rachel's harvested a lot already. She's been topping off the garden beds with it. So we'll haul this guy out there and we'll do a quick test and I'll show you how it turns out. We're out in the chicken coop. They've been working all winter making compost for us. We'll try out the screen, little wheelbarrow. Should be able to sift this out, get some nice fluffy compost out of it. Hopefully Mr. Rooster will keep himself quiet. I told him we were filming. He doesn't listen well. So let's try this. See what I mean? Yeah, it slides nice and easy now. That hardware cloth doesn't get caught on it before like it did. Yeah. So you filter out all these clumps, all the big sticks. And that can all go right back in your compost pile. Here. And you can focus on the good stuff. Looks like this. Nice fluffy, all filtered out. There's a few pieces of straw that made their way through, but it's perfectly fine. So I think that wraps this up. Little wood slats on the bottom definitely improve things. Probably like it overall to be a little bigger, but you don't want it too big because then as you slide the thing back and forth, you're dumping some off the sides every time you slide one direction or the other. But overall, it was free. Took me about a half an hour and we can filter our compost now. So thanks for joining us today. Take care, guys.